long have you been doing this for?
13 years now.
Wow. Dream job?
Pretty much. I get to work for about 7 or 8 months of the year, all up, and the rest of the time I travel.
Yeah.
Go overseas or go to Bali. Do something that's good for the soul.
Sounds perfect. Do you have special tools?
Just whatever you can find. A lot of small palette knives.
Yep.
And because the sand's really abrasive, it wears them down really quickly. So always working on a new tool. Always have a new one started up.
So you've got to break them in, do you?
Yeah, take the edges off them.
Yeah.
And you get a limited sort of life out of them where they're the perfect, like this one. Like that was a square.
Yeah.
It's really, really thin now, so it's flexible.
Oh, yeah.
And it's worked to a point.
Yep.
So it's really sharp, so you can get really nice clean cuts. And it'll be like this for a season and a bit, and then it'll get too small and I'll chuck it out and get another one.
So you'd be on the lookout at garage sales of artists and things like that?
I love country markets.
Yep.
You always have some old guys with old farm tools and stuff. Always looking through. You look at stuff and go, oh, I could do this, or I could do that with that tool.
Just thinking, you often see it, right, the old bread and butter knives that are really honed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple
anything
in
like
mine.
that. I mean, you know, I've got, here it is. Just an old fork. Good for doing corrugated roofs.
Oh, of course.
Lots of brushes. This is actually a really good example. That's a margin trowel from the US.
Yeah.
That's how they start.
Right.
Quite thick.
Yeah.
That's the perfect tool. So that's the same tool.
And you've just worn that down by doing this?
Just worn down in the sand. And that's perfect now because it's flexible.
Yeah.
Same as this other one. It's gone to a point, so you can really work it.
Yeah.
And because it's flexible, it's a really good tool for rendering and smoothing things out. Because of that flex, you can just put that little bit of pressure on it.
Yeah.
And that's why this other one of mine, where is it? Oh, this one, I just had it in my hand. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's nice and flexible.
Mm.
So really good for doing the same thing, but on a smaller scale.
So that'd be like gold to you, those tools.
They are.
Keep an eye on where they are all the time.
I've got a whole basket full of them, and even little things like this. Like this is a proper sculpting tool.
Okay.
And I don't normally use these sort of ones all that often. I generally use a square end for flat work. But the key with sand sculpting is the finish. So when you do something, it's about how you finish off. Don't leave any crumbs. If you're doing anything that requires sharp lines and stuff, just make sure they're nice and crisp. It's all the really small stuff that makes a difference.
And then do you spray it or something afterwards?
Yeah, we do something like this, which actually has to last for a while. We'll generally spray with a diluted PVA. And what that does is it puts a bit of a skin on the surface of the sand. So what happens is when the water hits it, I've only coated this once, it doesn't actually get into it.
Yeah.
So normally at this point now, when you re-wet an area, it'll become really wet, and then the surface will start to dribble because it's too wet. Whereas the glue stops it getting that water into the surface. And because it's diluted, it breaks down over time. Like the sun and water exposure eventually breaks it down. So it will give up eventually.
But this will last a few months?
Yeah, they're hoping to keep it until Easter. Unless they have some massively shitty weather between now and Easter, I reckon it'll survive all right.
Survive, yeah.
The only other thing that is the natural enemy of sand sculptures is vandalism. They don't seem to have that problem here.
So you draw your own concepts?
Yeah, generally I'll draw out all the drawings. For
An illustrator?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you illustrated books and things?
I used to.
Yep.
But a lot more commercial illustration. Like I used to do a lot of technical drawing. Used to do a bit of cartooning, all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And my favourite medium, I did a fair bit of oil painting and that when I was younger. Never really enjoyed it because I was pretty crap at it. Is colour pencil. Like just using black-legged pencils and colour pencil.
One of my favourite things.
It's a long process. It's a very slow process, but
though, isn't
you
it?
can get some amazing like finishes with colour pencil if you're patient enough and work the layers.
Seen
It's
some
like anything, I
amazing
guess.
bird illustrations done with colour.
Well, that's what I do.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
Birds and animals. Yeah, I was really lucky when I was still at school. I mean, I used to draw a lot when I was young anyway, but the last 2 or 3 years of high school, my art teacher was a really, really talented illustrator, and that's what sort of drew me into illustration rather than sculpture or anything like that.
Good teachers are life-changing, aren't they?
Well, if you have a good one,
If
yeah.
you have a good one, yeah.
Very much so. It's been a difficult process the last 2 or 3 weeks because I've got my gammy finger.
How'd you do
When
it?
I'm doing small stuff, I keep poking the bloody sand with it.
Yeah.
That's like
Gets right in the way.
gets in the way, yeah.
How'd you manage that?
Basketball,
Okay.
which the wife was supremely happy about. For these, the proper Scott, they're from Italy.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter so much that they're rusty because you just give them a bit of a rub up in the sand, and they're as good as new. But this is generally my number one eye tool.
Yep.
Because you've got the little flat paddle.
Yep.
But you've also got this point.
Good deal.
This is where it gets really interesting. So it's all these little sort of processes that over time you sort of learn, and it just makes, it doesn't make you a better sculptor, it just allows you to create better work. So you still, your style of whatever you do doesn't really change, but just having a really quick processes the best way, because once you get to a point where you can actually make stuff like this, the employability of you then is being able to do it quickly. So if you can turn out a volume of work rather quickly, but also of quality, that's when you become an employable sand sculptor. It's just about seeing shape, like being able to identify shape. And generally with this sort of thing, we'd actually use reference material. So Dion's got some pictures of whales and stuff. So if you do something like that and you look at it and go, well, it doesn't look right, why? You can go through the process and work out why it doesn't look right. And that's the hardest thing. And sometimes you think something's not right, so you keep working on it, and you can be on it for hours, and you step back and it still doesn't look right. Go away for half an hour, come back, just look at it with fresh eyes, and straight away it's glaringly obvious what's wrong with it. So that's part of the trick as well, is being able to sort of step back off the pile every now and then, and just look at it objectively.
Are you use some sort of template to do your design, or you just you've drawn it out?
To a degree, we did. Where's the yeah, so generally with these sort of things on a panel, when I'm doing something freeform, it's a lot easier, but that's how the form's sat. So it was a 10 foot, 8 foot, 6 foot, 5 foot, and that's the sort of apex of it. So we know that the seal was just above the bottom of the second foot, above the top of the second form.
Good line.
And we moved the whale across a little bit more. I think it just looks nicer down around the bottom. And the tuna are obviously going to be a lot bigger. But that's
great.
And same with the front, like the picture I had on the front.
Okay.
Just put it and draw it into the formwork. Always happens.
I want to show Mum.
It's the best tool, because it only takes away the really loose grains.
Fine stuff,
Drag it.